The world sometimes reveals its darkness in the most ordinary places. On a calm, sun-washed morning in Pine Meadow, an elderly woman stood outside Willow's diner, trembling, silently crying, unaware that 3 teenagers were filming her distress to entertain strangers on the internet. Her name was Margaret Collins, a gentle woman of 74, dressed in her faded blue cardigan and holding a purse that had once belonged to her late husband, Daniel. She wasn't crying because of the boys, but because she had dropped the small notepad she used to communicate, and the pages scattered across the pavement like frightened birds. She couldn't hear them laughing. She couldn't hear anything at all. The stroke 3 years ago had taken her hearing, leaving her to navigate a world that moved too fast for her hands to explain. But the boys didn't care. They laughed, circled her, waved their hands mockingly in fake sign language, and shoved a phone in her face. "Say something, Grandma," Corey shouted, though she couldn't hear him. "Oh yeah, that's right," Dylan snorted. "She can't." They laughed even harder. Margaret tried signing "Please stop, please, don't." But without her notepad, without her hearing, without anyone noticing her, she felt smaller than she ever had in her life. Then one of the boys pushed her shoulder lightly, not enough to injure her, just enough to make her stumble. She gasped, not a sound, but a sharp breath, a soundless cry. And then it happened, a soft rumble in the distance. Then louder, and louder, and louder. 10 motorcycles turned onto the street, polished chrome glinting in the sunlight. Their presence was impossible to ignore. The engines vibrated like thunder rolling across the pavement. The bullies froze. Margaret looked up. The town knew this group. Everyone did. The Iron Shepherds, a motorcycle club known for charity rides, rescuing stranded drivers, repairing homes for widows, and organizing holiday drives for children. Big men, with bigger hearts, but with a look that told you they were not to be messed with. At the front rode Jack Turner, a broad-shouldered man in his 50s with gray streaks in his beard, a rough exterior softened by kind blue eyes. Behind him were Matthew, Cole, Frank, Elias, and others who had served in the military, worked as firefighters, or simply believed in standing up for the vulnerable. When Jack saw the scene, the trembling elderly woman, the scattered papers, the teenagers clutching phones, he didn't hesitate. The motorcycles slowed, then stopped. 10 engines went silent in perfect unison. Corey lowered his phone. Dylan swallowed. Trent took a step back. Jack stepped off his bike, eyes locked on the boys. "What exactly," he said in a low, controlled voice, "are you 3 doing?" "And nothing," Corey stuttered. "We were just what?" Jack approached him slowly. "Just bullying a woman who can't hear you. Just filming her crying. That what makes you feel big?" None of the boys spoke. Jack turned to Margaret. His face softened instantly. He crouched beside her, gently picking up the scattered pages of her notepad. She watched him with wide, fearful eyes. Jack signed slowly, carefully, not fluent, but enough. "Are you okay?" A tear slipped down her cheek. She nodded. Margaret had never seen a biker sign language before. Jack helped her to her feet. Matthew picked up the rest of her papers. Cole opened the diner door for her. But Jack wasn't finished. He turned back to the boys. "You 3 recorded this?" he asked. They hesitated. Jack held out his hand. "Phone, now." They obeyed. He scrolled, saw the video, jaw tightening. "You should be ashamed of yourselves." Corey tried to defend himself. "It was just a joke." "A joke?" Jack snapped. "Tell me, would it be funny if that was your grandmother? Your mother? Someone you loved?" The boys looked at the ground. Jack put the phones in his pocket. "You're coming with us." "What? Where?" To make things right, he led them into the diner, where Margaret sat nervously in a booth. The other customers watched in silence. Jack placed the phones on the table and signed to Margaret again, slowly explaining. She read his lips, read his signs, and understood what he was doing. He turned to the boys. "You're going to apologize. With your mouths, and with your hearts." Trent stepped forward first, choking on his words. I'm sorry, ma'am. We were wrong." Dylan followed, tears in his eyes. "I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you." Corey stubbornly hesitated, but when Margaret reached out and gently touched his hand, something in him broke. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I won't ever do something like that again." Margaret nodded, forgiving them with a softness that made their guilt heavier. Jack wasn't finished. "You 3 will also help repaint Miss Margaret's house this weekend. She needs support, not cruelty." They agreed immediately. They had no choice, socially or morally. But as the boys left the diner, Jack sat across from Margaret. He signed. "You're not alone." She smiled, touched her chest, and signed back. "Thank you." But what Jack didn't know yet was how deeply she meant it. The days that followed, the Iron Shepherds didn't just protect Margaret that day, they adopted her. Jack visited her house to fix a broken porch step. Elias repaired a window that wouldn't close. Matthew brought her groceries. Cole drove her to medical appointments. Frank, who knew basic ASL because his sister was deaf, helped teach some of the bikers how to sign simple phrases. Slowly, the world that had grown so quiet for Margaret began to feel warm again. The boys kept their promise. Under the sharp supervision of the bikers, they spent an entire weekend repainting Margaret's home. Neighbors came out to watch, shocked, not at the boys, but at the harmony of bikers and teenagers working side by side. And something changed in the boys, too. Seeing Margaret smile at them, bringing out lemonade with her shaky hands, writing notes that said thank you, made them realize how small their cruelty had been, and how big kindness could feel. The video that never went viral. Jack could have posted the video. He could have shamed the boys publicly. He could have turned them into headlines. But he deleted it. Some battles are better fought privately. And some lessons are better learned quietly. The only record of that day lived in the memories of those who witnessed what true strength looked like, not the strength of fists or loud voices, but the strength of standing up for the vulnerable. The diner moment that changed everything. 1 month later, something extraordinary happened. Margaret entered Willow's diner and found the entire Iron Shepherds Club waiting for her. Jack smiled. "Margaret, we have something for you." He handed her a small gift box. Inside was a device, tiny, sleek, and modern. A cochlear implant processor. Her hands shook. Her eyes filled with tears. She stared at Jack, confused. "It's paid for," Jack said softly. "We talked to some folks. Raised the money. The doctor says you're a good candidate. If you want it, you might hear again." She covered her mouth, trembling. Her hands moved shakily in sign language. "Why would you do this for me?" Jack signed back, slowly but sincerely. "Because you're family now." The diner fell silent, and for the first time in years, Margaret felt something she thought she had lost forever. Not hearing. That would come later. She felt belonging. She felt seen, protected, loved. The message: cruelty spreads fast. Kindness spreads faster, if someone is brave enough to start it. Margaret Collins thought her silence made her invisible. But one biker saw her. Then another. Then a whole town. In a world that often records pain for entertainment, the Iron Shepherds chose to rewrite the story, not with shame, but with compassion. And that made all the difference.